Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my wrap up, but I'm doing a little bit of a spin on it. I'm going to call it the wind down, and the reason why I'm doing this is that we're going to be drinking wine while doing this wind down. In both months, I read a lot of books. I read a lot of audiobooks, but also lots of physical books. So now let's get to the audiobooks. Oh, I need a drink for this. Okay. The first audiobook I read was A Song of Wraith and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This book was kind of a highly anticipated book for this year, but you follow two main characters. One is the daughter of a queen, the other one is a son of a minority group, and their worlds collide. So something happens in the main city, and with the two characters, the main one, her mother passes away and she is not ready to be queen, therefore she wants to resurrect her mother. There is a spell that she can do this, but she needs the heart of a king. Comes our second main character. He arrives from a poor distant town trying to make his fortune in the main city. When he arrives at the gate, it is found out where they're from, and he's traveling with his sister, and his sister gets taken away, put in prison, and now he's wanting to be able to break her out. One way of doing this is winning one of the contests that is going to be put on annually in this city. And the winner of this contest becomes the king. So he wants to become king to save his sister, and the princess wants a heart of a king to resurrect her mother. So then things happen, so on and so forth. I loved the writing and the world. There's a bit of magic in there, which is quite incredible as well too. And all in all, it was a good read. I wouldn't rank it as one of my tops, but I still enjoyed it. After that, I read Graceling by Kristin Cashore. So this one seems to be a favorite of booktubers right now. A new reprint of the covers, and I believe the fourth one came out in the series, Bitter Blue. And so I kind of wanted to read and find out what the hoopla was and what the big deal was. And I think I would have enjoyed it if I was kind of like teen kind of thing like that. I found it was very YA, but it's what it's supposed to be. And all in all, it was a good read. I wouldn't say it was the best. I didn't love the love interest or the little love thing that was going on. I've actually kind of forgotten much about what the story was about. But I mean, it is what it is. People quite enjoy it a lot. There was one character, which, Bitter Blue, I would like to read her story, so maybe I'll just jump right to the fourth book and read it from there. After that, I read a non-fiction called Hood Feminism by Mikki, Kendall. Sorry if I'm leaning over, I'm looking at my iPad to do this. So Hood Feminism was notes from the woman that a movement forgot. So this is kind of a social commentary on feminism. Is quite geared to white women, and kind of forgets the minorities. You know, forgets Black women and etc. You know, Asian and all that kind of stuff. And she brings up really good points, and also shows that not just, you know, women's health is a feminist issue. No, it's about food security, opportunities, etc., etc., etc. And it was a good read and kind of enlightening, and kind of makes you think like, right, I could totally see that this, you know, the feminist movement is really led by white women and geared towards white women. So it makes you think, and like, how can I change and what can I do, and so on and so forth. So as a nonfiction book, I think it's worth the read, just to give you a new perspective on the feminist movement. After that, I read Bridges of Souls by Victoria Schwab. This is the third book in the Cassidy Blake series. It's a middle grade series that started with, oh my gosh, City of Bones, right? I don't want to get it confused with the other one. Hold on one second. City of Ghost. Okay, so it's a third one, with the first one being the City of Ghost. So this book is so much fun. I love Cassidy Blake and I love Jacob and the places that they bring us to. The first one is about Cassidy Blake and her parents. Her parents are paranormal hunters. So her dad really believes in the paranormal and ghosts and so on and so forth. Her mom is the skeptic. She's on the science side and everything is explained by science, etc., etc. And then Cassidy Blake, when she was a young girl, she drowned and then got brought back to life. But in doing so, now she can kind of see ghosts. She can see spirits and so on and so forth, and she's a little bit more susceptible to things around her. And the person that saved her is Jacob, which was a drowned little boy and now becomes her companion. So it follows their adventures. In the first book, they're in Edinburgh, one of my favorite cities in Scotland. If you can, go there. It's amazing. Scotland as well too. And the second one is called Tunnel of Bones, and this is set in Paris and the catacombs. And then Bridges of Souls is set in New Orleans. That one was lots of fun. It has a little bit of that like voodoo ambiance and things like that. It was a great conclusion to the series. I think the second one was really good, followed by the first, and then the third one always seems to be kind of, it catches up all loose ends and things like that. But all in all, I would highly recommend this one, especially for middle grade people that for young adults, pre-adult, etc., etc., children to read. It's quite enjoyable. After that, a little palate cleanser was Maybe This Time by Kasie West. This is a young adult contemporary. I kind of forgot what happened. I just remember it was kind of like a light, fluffy, coming of age, a little bit of romance, and all in all, it was just enjoyable to read. A bit forgettable, I guess, like any kind of like fluffy contemporary. Okay, let's try and get through this. We're almost done, only 4 more books. This video is going to be long. This is why I need to do them every month. I read Everything I Never Told You by Celeste. This one, if you want to cry, if you want to have kind of like a snippet into a family's life and their problems, and so you follow this family where in the first couple pages, I think it's like the first sentence or whatever, you learn that the oldest daughter of this family is found dead, drowned in a lake. And then you kind of follow 2 timelines. So you follow at the beginning of this girl's life up to her death, and then you follow the aftermath of her death, and you follow all the different family members. So it's kind of like, the writing is really good, especially if you're just kind of reading this family's mundane life. Like, it's nothing extraordinary. It could be any family that's around, but the way it's described, you kind of attach yourself to these characters and you really want to know more and more of what's going on. And you follow the reason you know, every action that you do, and it shows you the result. So you did something and then it follows through as to the end result. So I really like this book. It really got me in how it shows parental pressures on the children and the children's, you know, pressure to live up to what their parents have envisioned for them, and then how it can lead to disappointment and so on and so forth. So I would read this book. I think this is my first book that I read from Celeste Ng. And you would think about reading some, like, a family's history and things like that wouldn't be that interesting. It was. Next one is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. So this one was an audiobook narrated by the author, and please, if you can, do that. Do it because it's a book in verse. So I've never read a book in verse. It's basically like a very long poem, right? But the way that Elizabeth Acevedo reads the book is really nice, and she puts the emphasis. Her voice is amazing. If you're not familiar what this story is about, so the event that happened was a plane crash, and the majority of the passengers were Dominican Republicans returning to the Dominican Republic. Now, most of them had come from New York City, so everyone that passed away devastated this community in New York, as well as the community on the Dominican Republic. You follow two timelines, you follow two women that you discover are sisters, and they don't know about each other. So the first sister that lives in New York has had her father, he stays with her from September all the way to June, and then he leaves to the Dominican Republic and is with his other daughter during the summer. So you kind of find out how they find out about each other and all of the emotions that you would feel. You feel they felt betrayed, lied to, and doubts. Was I the better? You know, did he love me more than her? Who's the mother? Etc., etc., etc. And the way it's written in verse is so lyrical, and you really start seeing the two women kind of accept what's going on, and you see if they're gonna grow together or it's a little bit too much for them. Our next one is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. So this one is a really fun little book. It's a contemporary YA. You follow two characters that get into a Twitter war, and then there's like a little bit of a twist at the end, and it's really adorable. So the story is the girl, she lives in New York. She goes to this like preppy high school, and she is the administrator for her family's fast food Twitter account, and her family's fast food has come out with a new chicken sandwich, but it's totally ripping off the recipe and the name from a local deli's menu. And then you have our second character, who he runs the Twitter account for his family's deli, and he also goes to the same high school as our main character. So then they get into a little bit of a Twitter war and so on and so forth, and then you could just imagine kind of the fallout that's going to happen. And it's a YA contemporary, so you could see, you know, their timelines kind of mesh together, and so on and so forth. It was cute, fluffy again. You know, if you just want a little bit of a distraction. And the food, though, because our main character also has a food blog with her sister, and the stuff they come up with, I want a recipe or a store that has this stuff, because it sounded really, really good. And then the sandwiches from the deli, oh my god. Yeah, if you're hungry and you're reading this book, you're gonna be starving. And you'll want to run and get like anything to eat because, yeah, please come out with a recipe book. That'd be great. And we're down to our last two. No, wait. May. Yes, down to our last two. Our next one is Burn by Patrick Ness. So this story follows a family down on their luck, a mixed race girl, and they are so poor that they have to hire a dragon to help them on their farmland. Yes, you heard me right, a dragon. In this world, dragons are part of our world. They have different factions. They have a peace treaty between them and humans, but they are seen as, you know, no one wants them around. So then you follow this family with their dragon and things happen. There's a bit of a twist that I was not expecting. Again, this was really, I enjoyed the book. Would I recommend? Probably. I mean, it's, if you like dragons, if you're not into mythical creatures and that kind of thing, like, I'd probably skip it. It's probably not the best one. But all in all, I like this book. The twist, though, like, whew, I was not expecting it, and then I was like, what? Yeah, so. And last but not least, The Luck of the Titanic by Stacey Lee. Now, I'm one of those people that saw the Titanic in theaters multiple times. I was fascinated by the Titanic. At one point there was a traveling exhibit that came to museums. I went there with my class. I find this nautical disaster fascinating, and it's kind of morbid because of so many people that died because of men's stupidity and ego and so on and so forth. So in The Luck of the Titanic, you follow our main character, and it's the story of the Chinese survivors of the Titanic. I didn't know that there was Chinese on the Titanic, and only recently this has been kind of uncovered, unearthed, and so Stacey Lee is telling the story of these Chinese survivors. I believe there were 8 and 6 survived. So you follow our main character, and she is getting on the Titanic from London, and she wants to make her fortune in New York. Unfortunately, the US has an exclusion act, therefore she is denied passage on the Titanic as a passenger, but she grew up as an acrobat, so she makes her way onto the Titanic and becomes a stowaway and kind of takes a high society lady's identity because she was her maid in London. There's a little bit of a twist. There's a few things that weren't really believable in the story where I was like, at one point she wants to do an act, but the best way to do it is as a boy, so she just cuts off her hair. I'm like, really? You would just cut off your hair just like that? Like, oh, no big deal, I need to be a boy. Yeah. Other than that, there's found family, and there's a few snippets of famous passengers on the Titanic. The whole time you're reading it, you know that the Titanic is going to sink. So you have kind of like this dread, and you're kind of like, oh, if only they knew, like, oh, kind of thing. So I like this book. It kind of made me nostalgic, and kind of as things happen and the Titanic, you know, starts sinking and things like that, you're like, oh God, you know, so many people died. It makes me want to rewatch the movie. But all in all, at the very end, there's a bit of like, what? Oh, what? No. You know, it's kind of a sad little ending, but you can kind of see where it's going. So there you have it. This is a long video, Maybe I'll do a part 1, part 2, I don't know. So I hope you enjoyed this wrap up, and I'm hoping to do these once a month and not put 2 months worth of books in one. So thank you for watching. I'll put some more videos up. Please like and subscribe, because I know some of you are watching but you're not subscribed. And I hope you like this new theme of It's the Wind Down. This is kind of a nod to Book and Drink. He kind of did a little one like this too, so hats to you, buds, and we'll see you next time. Bye!